The recent Paris International Air Show at Le Bourget came amid revived fortunes for the commercial airline industry. After 2 years in the red, the industry will make a profit this year of just over $5 billion US, despite rising fuel costs. About 140 aircraft were on exhibit, with 40 of those being flying displays. Dassault Aviation unveiled its latest business jet, the Falcon 7X. An all-electric flight command system means that the aircraft is extremely safe. The new European fighter, the Typhoon, has an inherently unstable design that relies upon computer control to provide an artificial stability. This gives the aircraft agility both at supersonic and at very low speed. Another huge star at the show was the Airbus A380. Even though the mammoth machine made its debut in 2005, it still creates a buzz at each appearance. Airbus says it will win at least 600 firm orders for its aircraft this year, including more than 20 for its double-decker A380, after booking extra orders at the air show. The decision to focus on the supersize A380 left the Toulouse-based plane maker lagging well behind Boeing in the lucrative commercial medium-sized long-range jet market. CNES and the European Space Agency displayed a zero-G plane, which allows passengers to experience weightlessness. Military flight technology was on view as well. Unmanned aerial vehicles have become major battlefield tools. The Hermes 900 can fly non-stop for 40 hours. This year, helicopters celebrated their 100th anniversary at Le Bourget. These are helicopter drones known as the Stat and the Shark. But it was the Bell Augusta BA609 tilt rotor that stole the show. The BA609 combines the speed, altitude and comfort of a turboprop with the vertical takeoff and landing capabilities of a helicopter. When in level flight, its rotors tilt forward to act as conventional propellers, with the lift being provided by its wings. It seats up to 9 passengers and flies at twice the speed of typical helicopters. It has a maximum cruise speed of 509 kilometers per hour, yet it can still take off and land vertically in very small areas. Because it does not need runways, it will be very useful in wide open spaces for transport or search and rescue missions. British adventurer David Hempelman-Adams in the Toshiba Challenge during flight tests for a new transatlantic record attempt. The flight will have a zero carbon footprint as the balloon is filled with helium and requires no burners. Previous expeditions relied on pressurized gondolas filled with navigation equipment, but Hempelman-Adams will have just one laptop capable of receiving air traffic control information and meteorological reports. David Hempelman-Adams will set off from Canada in what will be the smallest, most lightweight balloon to cross the Atlantic. The wicker basket is so small, it has a special flap cut into its sides so his legs can protrude while he's sleeping. Preparations have been rigorous. The lightweight digital technology that will make the expedition possible will allow David Hempelman-Adams to communicate with his British base in Surrey. Vital tracking information will be relayed via satellite, and any course corrections needed to take advantage of favourable winds can be received in the same way. David will be flying at altitudes between 2,000 and 5,000 metres, depending on the weather track. This makes him vulnerable to rain, ice and cold. No one has ever flown the Atlantic in such a small balloon. New research by Australian scientists indicates that growth hormones, when taken alone, do not dramatically enhance athletic performance. Sydney's Garvan Institute recruited 100 young amateur athletes to test the effect of human growth hormone, testosterone, and a placebo. Dr. Ann Nelson from the Garvan Institute says neither the athletes nor the scientists knew what they were taking. Scientists researched 4 aspects of sports performance: endurance, strength, power, and sports capacity. They found that human growth hormone in high but safe doses had no effect on strength, endurance, power, or sports capacity. However, the athletes who took supplements of both human growth hormone and testosterone did show an improvement in muscle mass and sprint power. The athletes using only growth hormone had more fluid retention, which might explain why their muscles felt bigger. Many of the athletes mistakenly thought they were being given human growth hormone, illustrating the power of the mind. Emma Norville took part in the trial. She trains as an endurance runner and swimmer. Emma says she was convinced she was on human growth hormone. In reality, she was taking a placebo. She says she noticed a difference in her endurance levels and her ability to lift weights. The team has developed a new, more effective test, able to find traces of the artificial growth hormones even weeks after people have stopped taking them. Some of the most innovative medical breakthroughs in healthcare have been recognised at an awards ceremony in the UK. The winner of the Best Business Startup Award went to Dr. Charles Potter and his novel method of delivering medicines without using needles. The system fires miniature pellets through the skin at high speed and is seen as ideal for large vaccination programs. Engineer Ian Anderson won an award for his innovation aimed at giving sufferers of spinal injuries their independence. It's a cool system activated by tiny movements on a fabric pad rather than pushing a button. This is useful for people suffering from severe trauma or fractures. An award for work in the field of early cancer detection went to Cancer Biomarkers. They have learned how to detect a protein uniquely associated with cancer cells. Another award went to a team who designed technology to improve the resuscitation of patients who suffer heart attacks in hospitals. The Resus station can guide, monitor, and record health workers' actions, enabling improved patient care. Its work has been vital in improving positive outcomes for heart attack sufferers. And an occupational therapist from London was rewarded for her work with those suffering from mental disabilities. Jeanette Hines set up a football league to help her patients once they had been discharged into the community. The aim of the awards is to encourage, support and reward new ideas and advances in healthcare that can improve people's lives. On July the 1st, England and parts of Australia went smoke-free. Smoking is now prohibited at all public indoor venues, and the social pressure on smokers to give up their habit will become even more intense. Now, trials suggest that a new pill could provide those trying to kick the habit with the help they need. Known as Champix, the twice-daily pill works by providing relief from cravings and the withdrawal symptoms experienced by smokers. It also reduces the satisfaction a smoker will get from further cigarettes if they have a relapse. Trials show Champix to be more effective than similar alternatives. Scientists in Japan have developed a brain-machine interface, which analyzes slight changes in the brain's blood flow to detect brain activity and translate it into control signals. The technology is being pioneered at Hitachi's Advanced Research Laboratory in Hatoyama, just outside Tokyo. Patients are fitted with a cap connected by optical fibers to a mapping device, which in turn is linked to a toy train set via a control computer. When patients are asked to move a finger, the toy train they are connected to immediately moves forward along the tracks, indicating activity in the brain's frontal cortex. Monitors show blood flow activity in different parts of the brain: green for low blood flow or little activity, and pink for high blood flow and activity. The team is now able to detect the brain activity responsible for moving the model train. Underlying Hitashi's brain-machine interface is a technology called optical topography, which sends a small amount of infrared light through the brain's surface to map out changes in blood flow. While brain-machine interface technology has traditionally focused on medical uses, researchers at Hitachi and Honda have been trying to refine the technology for commercial application. The technology is already being used as a means of communication. It could also be used to assist people operating electric wheelchairs, beds, or artificial limbs. Since 2005, Hitachi has sold a device based on optical topography that lets paralyzed patients communicate yes or no. A project leader at Hitashi's Advanced Research Laboratory, Hideaki Koizumi, says he hopes to use his brain interface to rehabilitate people with neurodegenerative diseases which lead to paralysis. The large size of the device is one issue, though Hitachi has developed a prototype compact headband and mapping machine that together weigh just 1 kilogram. Other monitoring devices have used electrodes to pick up electrical activity from the brain. The infrared technique is seen as more convenient. The team is also working on a brain TV remote controller, where users can turn a TV on and off and switch between channels using thought control. Work being done here at Hitashi's Advanced Research Laboratory is leading to a new generation of technology control. Now another technology that's being used in new ways. Many people's family histories are unclear. While tracing genealogy has been popular for many years through books, there are now a number of other ways people can access information on their ancestral roots. The process of DNA genetic testing is simple. Buy a home testing kit, swab the inside of your cheek, and mail 2 samples to a laboratory. Testing is done for genetic markers similar to a time and date stamp showing where and when your ancestors came from, allowing any family migration to be tracked. An individual's information is compared to data gathered from all over the world, but they can't provide entire family trees. Certain websites are making this detailed information more accessible. Genie.com is one such website and was launched recently by David Sachs. The site already has 150,000 users building family trees and has already created 30,000 different trees. It's free and has users finding living relatives who ultimately connect online, adding their piece to the puzzle. Such sites have raised privacy concerns since personal information is listed online about each relative as they join the tree. IBM recently announced new computers that are 2 to 3 times more powerful than other comparable machines. At the heart of these systems is the breakthrough Power 6 microprocessor. It's the latest in a family that powered the Deep Blue supercomputer and still powers NASA's Mars rovers and virtually all of the world's game machines. The chip that drives these new systems helped IBM pass both Sun and HP in the Unix marketplace. The great breakthrough is that Power 6 does so without increasing energy consumption. The new dual-core Power 6 chips run at speeds up to 4.7 GHz. Such leaps in performance are needed not just to drive the world's largest supercomputers, but to help corporations keep pace with the enormous and unpredictable waves of transactions and information in the online world. In addition to a fast engine, Power 6 has enormous bandwidth, with 30 times more capacity than competitive systems, to eliminate jams and slowdowns in high-volume data processing. one Power 6 chip is more than twice as fast as Deep Blue. The first new Power 6 server, the IBM System P570, holds all three major benchmark speed records for business and technical performance. It's designed to consolidate the workloads of hundreds of servers, saving floor space, maintenance expense, and substantially reducing data center energy consumption. The basement in this modest apartment building is Moscow's newest museum. It's dedicated to forgotten Soviet-era arcade games. The Museum of Soviet Slot Machines is run by volunteers nostalgic for childhood days spent playing games like Tankerdrome and Sniper. Military factories across the Soviet Union churned out the arcade games from the late 70s, but they were discarded in favor of shinier Western imports after the collapse of communism in 1991. While the youngsters in the West played Pac-Man on their first home computers, their Eastern Bloc counterparts from Dresden to Vladivostok were queuing up to play the latest arcade games. About 2 years ago, a group of students decided they'd like to resurrect some of their childhood memories and set up a temporary home beneath a college dormitory. Machine parts, dated electronic fuses and transistors lie scattered about the workshop. Around 20 of the 50 machines are now in working order. They operate with old Soviet 15 kopek coins bearing the hammer and sickle emblem. The museum also features Soviet pinball tables, ice hockey games for 2 players, a target shooting game called Sniper, and early video games. The founders hope to attract outside funding so they can move the collection to a more central location. For the first time in more than a decade, British authorities have banned a violent video game.
Do you remember the work we did?
The British Board of Film Classification rejected Manhunt 2 because of its casual sadism and unrelenting focus on stalking and brutal slaying. David Cook, director of the BBFC, says Manhunt stood out because of the focus on creeping up on people and killing them in a wide variety of ways. They decided to ban the video game to rule out risks of harm both to adults and to children. In 2003, the original Manhunt game was given the strictest possible classification.
How will you ever make it through home?
In a separate move in the United States, the Boston-based Campaign for a Commercial-Free Childhood has sent a letter to the president of the US Game Industry's Rating Board requesting that Manhunt 2 receive an adults-only rating. Kawada Industries' latest cyborg, HRP-3 Promet Mark II, can walk on sand and through water, and moves the science of building mechanical humanoids just that much closer to the hard-working robot of people's dreams. One of the most noticeable features of this robot is that it is dust and waterproof. It has been designed to work in difficult indoor and outdoor environments similar to where humans work and live. Kawada Industries specializes in designing and fabricating steel bridges and structures, but it has moved into robotics in association with Kawasaki Heavy Industries and the National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology. The robot is controlled by a human operator via a wireless local area network. Though it can function autonomously for simple tasks, the remote operation means it can be used in hazardous environments to perform complex jobs. The HRP-3 has greater stability than its predecessor and can maintain its balance on all types of loose or undulating surfaces. Kawada hopes that by 2010, its line of robots will be used at construction sites, especially hazardous ones. Each robot is expected to cost around 15 million yen. It is 160 centimetres high and weighs 68 kilos. Australia may not be well known for success at the Football World Cup, but the University of Newcastle's Newbots are the reigning champions in the robot version. The Newbots, Sony Aibo dogs that are programmed to play soccer, fought off opponents from 24 international teams to take the top honours at last year's RoboCup four-legged league soccer competition. Now they're preparing to defend their title in the upcoming RoboCup in Atlanta, USA. While making robotic dogs play football may seem an odd pursuit, the aim, according to senior lecturer Stephen Challup, is to develop a team that can beat the current human World Cup holders by 2050. By contrast, the Australian national football team were knocked out of Germany 2006 by the eventual cup winners, Italy. Each Aibo dog can make decisions autonomously. The dogs are fitted with a camera that enables them to see the ball, other players and the goals. The dogs communicate with each other using wireless technology. This prevents them from all chasing after the same ball. While there is a designated goalkeeper, the roles of defender, attacker and supporter are all interchangeable. Just like a real match, there's even a penalty shootout if the game's tied. Dr. Michael Quinlan, Newbot team leader, puts the university's tournament success down to the team's aggressive style of play. As well as winning last year's cup, the team has made it into the top 3 during the last 4 competitions. However, as the competition is fairly open, other teams will try to copy their style of play. The challenge is for the Newbots to try and beat themselves. While the Aibos may be up to the task, there's still a long way to go before a robot team takes on human players. The biped prototypes have problems with balance, and an issue of contact between robots and humans needs to be resolved.